you doing, Craig?
Okay.
Oh, good.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the February 26th meeting of the Planning Board of the City of Lewiston. My name is Lucy Bisson and I'm the chair. And Ms. Cox, could you do the roll for us?
Absolutely. Roger Dupree?
Here.
Mark Roy?
Here.
Michael Marcotte?
Present.
Shanna Cox here. Lucy Beeson?
Here.
Alexander Pine?
Here.
And Lee Albert?
Here. Okay. And in the absence of Amy Smith, Lee will be a voting member this evening. Are there any adjustments to the agenda, Craig?
None?
None? And any correspondence? We did have some correspondence on our desk regarding correspondence from Shelley, between Shelley and Dennis Terrio regarding the other business on our agenda. So
That's
we
fairly
can
new.
discuss it at that time. Okay, in that case, we'll start with the public hearings. First public hearing is JIG Aggregates, LLC, has submitted a development review application to build a 36,000 square foot commercial building with office space, service bays, and storage areas to be located at Lot 9 of Gendron Business Park, 18 Gendron Drive. Craig, please.
So you'll see behind you on the screen, Gendron Business Park consists of 17 commercial lots with an existing stormwater treatment system. Lot 9 contains approximately 65 acres and has access onto both Gendron Drive and Alfred A. Plord Parkway. The existing parcel is vacant, and each lot in Gendron Business Park includes an approved grading plan. Approved grading for the project is designed to direct stormwater flow to a detention pond located to the northwest of the proposed structure. The proposed development will include a 36,000 square foot structure consisting of a 6,000 square foot shop with service bays and a 30,000 square feet of storage area. The project proposes 4.37 acres of new impervious area, which in addition to the structure will include 43 standard size parking spaces and 33 oversized spaces for larger industrial vehicles. This meets the parking requirement of 72 spaces. Total traffic estimated at 27 vehicle trips during the weekday and, weekday morning peak hour, and 23 vehicle trips during the afternoon peak hour. The applicant is requesting a waiver from the language of Article 13, Section 4Q, that's landscaping, which specifies that, in addition to street trees, that shrubs shall be required between the street trees every 5 feet on center. Under Article 13, Section 3G7, the board may confirm the modification or waiver of any of the submission requirements when it determines that because of the size of the project or circumstances of the site, such requirements would not be applicable or would be an unnecessary burden upon the applicant, and that such modifications or waiver would not adversely affect the abutting landowners or the general health, safety, and welfare of the city. The proposed project is located in the industrial zoning district. A wide range of uses are allowed as permitted uses, including industrial uses, building and construction contractors, and wholesale sales, warehousing, and distribution facilities. Proposed project meets all space and bulk requirements of the zoning district, including requirements for lot size, frontage, and setbacks. Impervious area is limited to 80% of the property, and they are, between this project and other planned site improvements on other pad sites, they're at about 73%. The city has delegated review authority from DEP to review these projects in excess of 3 but less than 7 acres of non-vegetated ground area. You'll see staff review and comments. Really, the only one of substance was the landscaping comment, which we're encouraging, or we recommend, staff recommendation that the board discuss the waiver request regarding landscaping required in Article 13, Section 4Q. Staff then recommend approval of the proposed project with the following conditions: that prior to the issuance of any building permits, Maine DEP signs off on the city's delegated review authority. And 2, that prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, a professional engineer must provide a stamped statement indicating all stormwater and site improvements have been completed in accordance with the approved plan. You'll see for actions necessary, you'll see 2 motions. One is optional, that is the waiver language, if you wanted to go forward with a waiver for the landscaping. I know that in the past, with these projects, you've either approved without really the need for a waiver, if, you've decided to either, just saying the waiver is optional.
Okay.
You can approve it as it is with the landscaping proposed. You can approve with the condition that it fully meets all landscaping requirements, or you can approve with the waiver. So those are the 3. That's all we got.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Cox.
I'm just checking in that as we make the motions, the conditions are really only relative to the required motion and not to the optional one?
Yes, the required motion.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions for staff? Mr. Gatto, would you like to come up and tell us anything you'd like about this project?
As usual, staff has done a very complete presentation. I guess the only correction that I want to point out, and I don't know as much as a correction, is we're proposing a 36,600 square foot building. 30,600 is service bays and storage, and 6,000 is going to be 2 levels, total of 12,000 square feet office space. So the office is on 12, and then it kind of was worded a little bit different in the letter. But the building size and everything is the same. So other than that, I could do a presentation, or I can just answer questions.
Does the board need a presentation from Mr. Gatto? Okay. Okay, in that case, since this is a public hearing, I will open it up to the public. Does anyone in the public wish to speak for or against this particular item? Okay, seeing none, I will close it to the public and bring it back to the board. Ms. Cox?
I have a question for Mr. Gatto. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Can you possibly show me the frontage on Alfred Plord for Lot 9? Thanks for doing that nice and slowly.
Straight up here.
And does the development plan on, how close is the actual development or impervious surface plan on going towards that particular street?
This is a 65-acre lot,
Yeah.
okay, which comes around the detention pond. This is the detention pond here. This mouse is a little slow, sorry. It goes up along the power line, comes down the power line, then down here to the road. The access we have to Alfred Plord is actually through the current office of Gendron and Gendron. So that access way is the road that goes into an asphalt plant that was approved to help remove the material faster for 6,000 square foot, 600,000 square foot building. So the project that we're looking at is going to be right up here in this corner.
So
Right
no
up on
real-
Gendron Drive. It'd be on about 5 acres probably, roughly.
So not utilizing or disrupting much change over
No,
time?
they're still mining this area for the 600,000 square foot building.
Yeah.
So the idea is to get rid of that material as fast as possible, and they've actually been recently talking to people about that building. So they're working at trying to get that material removed and down to grade. Most of this area that you're seeing in here is down to grade right now. But this end here has a little bit of blasting, and we got to kind of merge into there. So they're moving operations to here and then blasting this way this summer so they can build this office building. He needs more space than what he has here now.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
May I have one more question?
Absolutely.
Your waiver request is just for the shrubs between the street trees, and you're okay with the street trees?
I'd rather not have the street trees, but quite honestly, we have been asked to put street trees in for each of the projects. I think I've done all the buildings that I've
Yep.
done, but we've never been asked for flowers. And so I don't think the flowers are gonna do any good down along the road. The one thing that the plan shows, as you come up here, there's a fill here of 20, 30 feet. So you have flowers down along the road I mean, they're not gonna serve any purpose. And the other thing is that this is an industrial park, and why, at Razzle Way, we decided not to do any landscaping, and why do it? But putting some trees along the pavement, I think we've been doing it, I think it's probably a good idea to keep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mr. Dupree?
There's no possible way you can put residential buildings in there?
In the industrial park?
Yeah,
No way.
okay.
You know, that's, well, actually, you can't. In the industrial zone, you can't. Yeah, they're non-conforming use.
You're going down Gendron Drive, you're going all the way back to the end there, now you've got lane on both sides.
Well, the client, let's see how this goes here. This Gendron Drive, the 17 lots, this is the last lot right here on the 17 lots, and it's all way down here. The client owns, well, the family owns, I should say. The industrial park comes all the way up, the lot, up around here. This is all gonna be industrial land at some point in the future. You know, I guess there is a zone line here, but they would not typically connect the industrial road to a residential development.
Now, does that property also butt against Apple Lane or Cottage Road?
Dave owns these 2 lots up to Apple Road, yes. These are likely to get developed. These are part of the old Turnpike Industrial Park.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm really dating myself. Sorry. These are part of the old industrial park, and Dave owns these, plus he owns the land across for Exit 80. These are, been looked at 3 or 4 times. We ended up doing a big building up on Lot 15 that we were thinking about putting down here. So, you know, those are all gonna be industrial. I don't see, you never can tell, but I don't see any way that this industrial area, I don't think it would be good for the city to put that into residential.
I would add that currently the city ordinance does not permit single-family, two-family, or multifamily housing in the industrial zone.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Gatto, or? No? In that case, I would entertain a motion if there are no questions.
I'll make one,
I would appreciate that.
maybe even 2.
Yeah, that would be good.
I'd like to make a motion that the waiver request submitted by JIG Aggregate LLC to not require shrubs to be planted between the street trees every 5 feet on center meets the criteria of Article 13, Section 3G7, and shall be granted.
Do I have a second? Mr. Dupree? Any further discussion? Roger Dupree?
Yes.
Mark Roy?
Yes.
Michael Marcotte?
Yes.
Shanna Cox?
Yes.
Alexander Pine?
Yes.
Lee Albert?
Yes.
And Lucy Bisson, yes.
I'd like to make another motion.
Please?
I'd like to make a motion that the application submitted by JIG Aggregates LLC for the construction of a new 36,000 square foot, did we get it right in the motion, Mr. Gatto? Great. Commercial structure, along with parking and other site improvements totaling 4.37 acres of impervious area at Gendron Business Park, Lot 9, 18 Gendron Drive, meets all of the necessary criteria contained in the zoning and land use code, including but not limited to Article 13, Section 4, approval criteria, and that approval be granted with the following conditions. That prior to the issuance of any building permits, Maine DEP signs off on the city's delegated review authority, and that prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, a professional engineer must provide a stamped statement indicating all stormwater and site improvements have been completed in accordance with the approved plan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Alex or Roger, either one. And further discussion? Roger Dupree?
Yes.
Mark Roy?
Yes.
Michael Marcotte?
Yes.
Shanna Cox?
Yes.
Alexander Pine?
Yes.
Lee Albert?
Yes.
Lucy Bisson? Yes.
Thank you very much.
Happy building. All right. The second public hearing is M&B LLC has submitted a development review application to extend Matobian Avenue, create a new street, and develop 17 additional lots as a further phase to the L&L Estates subdivision located at 4676 Pond Road. Before we start, I would like to make it known that Rick LaChapelle and I are related. He is my first cousin once removed. If people have an issue with that, I will gladly step aside. Does anyone on the board have any issues with my, okay. Okay, I have no financial, he doesn't share.
That's ridiculous. That makes for tough Thanksgiving.
I know, it does, it does. Okay, Craig.
So I just wanted to find it.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, let's see here. L&L Estates was started in 2007 with the approval of Phase 1, and additional phases have resulted in a total of 15 existing lots. And I probably should have zoomed in a little bit more. It's Matobian Way, or I believe. In total, all 4 phases will consist of approximately 80 acres. Phase 4 consists of 17 new lots on an appropriately, approximately 36-acre parcel with some wetland, open area, and shoreline zone overlay on the property. All lots in Phase 4 will be serviced by individual wells and subsurface wastewater disposal systems. The construction of the new street, Lockview Drive, will impact 5,096 square feet of wetland area, and the applicant has submitted a Natural Resources Protection Act application to MDEP for this action. Street improvements for Lockview Drive will be maintained by M&B until accepted as a public street. Stormwater runoff for this project is being directed to a wet pond, which was previously approved and constructed during Phase 3. The open space and stormwater improvements will be maintained by the Lot Owner Association. Building envelopes have been added to all the lots in the subdivision plan to demarcate the boundary of all wetlands remaining on the property. And this subdivision plan will be recorded at the County Registry of Deeds upon final approval. The city has delegated review authority from MDEP for the review of subdivisions in excess of 20 but less than 100 acres. Phase 4 has been proposed as a single-family cluster development, which is a permitted use in the rural ag zoning district. Using this part of the ordinance in the RA zoning district, the developer can reduce individual lot size and frontage requirements to 30,000 square feet and 50 feet respectively, provided that they keep the remainder of the net lot area that would otherwise be required as open space, made accessible to all lots in the subdivision. For developments located in the RA zoning district, a conforming single-family lot must have a minimum of 60,000 square feet of both total lot size and total net lot area, which is buildable area not consisting of wetlands, open water, or steep slopes. The provided open space must meet this net lot area requirement, meaning that development would not be able to designate only unbuildable land consisting of wetlands as open space. For 17 lots, the total required net lot area is 1,020,000 square feet. That's essentially 17 lots multiplied by 60,000 square feet. The applicant is providing approximately 800,000 square feet of net lot area for all of the lots and over 300,000 square feet of net lot area for open space. Staff have reviewed this application, and we are satisfied that all lot size and open space requirements have been met for the proposed development. We had some comments. These have been addressed. We are satisfied. We have no additional comments at this time. We recommend approval of the proposed project with the following conditions. No lots may be sold and no permits issued until the road has been accepted by the city or a performance guarantee is provided to the city's satisfaction for 125% of the cost of improvements. That no building permits may be issued and no construction activity may occur until evidence of MDEP approval for wetland alterations has been provided to the city. That annual stormwater inspections, a post-construction stormwater management performance guarantee, and a MS4 area post-construction performance guarantee shall be required. 4, that prior to the issuance of a building permit, a subdivision plan indicating all building envelopes and demarcating all wetlands on the property and noting that any additional wetland disturbance or filling will require approval from MDEP, be recorded with the Androscoggin County Registry of Deeds, and that prior to the issuance of any building permits, Maine DEP signs off on the city's delegated review authority. You'll see in action, one motion is required, and that's all we got.
All right, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions for staff? Okay, Mr. Gatto, would you like to give us some more information on?
Again, staff has done a good job. I have no comments to what they had brought. I could just answer any questions unless somebody wants me to go through a presentation.
Does anybody have any questions? I'm curious as to, I'm looking at, let's see, subdivision plan,
Where'd you find that one?
I don't know, in the stack somewhere. Near the bottom,
Apparently shuffled mine pre-reading.
near the bottom. Yeah, it's the one that has all of the
Yep.
lots on it.
Yep.
And, you know, it talks about having building envelopes and stuff, this one does not have building envelopes.
Yes, it does.
It does? Can you show me where they might be on something like that? I'm just
Yes,
curious.
can you- yep,
I mean,
yep,
I,
yep, no,
you know, I have a problem, I'm just,
It's an important question. We need to,
So those,
You're looking at
subdivision.
it's.
We're trying to find it, Roger.
It's this one?
52 or what?
Let's see. It doesn't have a number. It says subdivision plan, sheet one.
It's on the,
L,
yeah, it's on the screen.
okay.
You want to look up on the screen. If, I don't know, if you can see the screen over there, or screen behind, but this is lot 19 here.
Yeah.
And the building envelope is the dash line, the
Dotted line, okay,
dotted line that comes across like this.
okay.
And then where there are wetlands, it's got a bearing and distance on it,
Yep,
so
okay.
that it can be fully defined in the field by surveyors or by folks if we need to.
Okay.
We're doing some measurement. So every lot has that kind of dash line around it. These lots vary in size from 30,000 to 5 acres because we're trying to get a variety of housing opportunities and lower price lots and higher price lots. And some of them have some more, they're close to the pond that's out there, which is a very nice feature. This lot here is the biggest lot, 32. This is the detention pond that was built in lot 3, so we put an easement around it. And so this lot 32 has frontage that goes out towards the beaver pond, and this, I think that's the brook that comes out right there. So,
Okay, all right,
so every lot has it, and if there's a wetland in it, we've gone around the wetland so that we can show that there's no more. And we got notes on the plan that say,
right,
no wetland impact unless you go get permits.
right, okay,
And it will be costly to do that, but people can do that.
can do it, okay. Okay, thank you. Does anyone else? Mr. Dupree?
On a 55-foot frontage, what size house are you gonna put on there?
The 55-foot frontage is on 20.
Lot 19, it's kind of small.
Well, here's 24, it's got about 60 feet of frontage, but you can see there's 2 acres. So let me see if I can find lot, I think lot 20.
Yeah, if you look at lot 19, it looks.
Yeah, it's at the cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
So it's right in here, so it's almost an acre in size. So it's only got 50 feet on this cul-de-sac right here. It's got a little 10-foot and a 40-foot. So you got enough to put a driveway in and then build a house back here.
How big's the house?
Acre size, you could build the biggest house you want.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, what are you building up there? 1,400, 14, I mean, you got,
Doesn't have to fit through the driveway built.
no. No, again, most of them have a very large building envelope that you could put almost any standard two-story home, 3-bedroom, garage.
Right.
Even some might have bonds or something we're connected to the ATV and snowmobile trails, and so there's a lot of activity that could occur
That'll be
here.
a selling point.
I would add for context, in the RA zoning district, the maximum allowed impervious area is 20%. So that's sort of the main limiting factor for house size and driveway size.
Okay,
But when you have, I don't know if I can do the math that quick, about 20, must be Yeah, I can't do the math.
I appreciate watching you try.
Yeah, I'm too old, I'm
Thanks.
getting too old.
Yeah, tell me about
Need
it.
my calculator.
Yes, Ms.
I think
Dodd.
if you have like a 1 acre lot, you could have like an 8,000 square foot house,
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay, yeah, that's a big house.
Yeah.
I just really appreciate seeing the lot sizes. You can tell that there's been some changes from phase 2 to phase 3 to really show some variance, and that's what our market is demanding, not one of anything, whether it's huge or multifamily or small. And people like living in neighborhoods where it's not all the same. Like you might have a starter home and you might have a retirement home and then you might have a family home. That's what creates a neighborhood, and I think that is thoughtfully shown here, and I'm grateful for that. Hurry up and build it, because we need it like now. When will they come on market again?
Yeah.
It would have been done if I could have got it done faster. He's been pushing hard.
It's those trips from Florida.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else have any questions?
What is the common area gonna be used for?
At this point, passive recreation, we're providing, I think we need something like 5 acres. I think the number was, sorry, I gotta get the right numbers. I think we were looking at, 5.8 acres of open space. We actually have set aside 13 acres, and 7.5 acres of that is usable. So it's mostly gonna be used for trails or things like that, that the association wants to build them. There are some areas where you could do some other types of things, but there's not intended to be any active recreation. It's more of a, let's build a trail to connect to the snowmobile trail, and let's go to Rangeley or something, you know, on a snowmobile or ATV or whatever.
Okay. Are they also, are they gonna have access to the little beaver pond?
There is an open space that gives access to the pond on both sides of the stream. It would probably take a bridge to get across some of the stream, because the beavers have been pretty active. Since we started this project, the ponds get quite a bit larger. So they've been very active out there, and it makes a nice area.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions? Ms. Scott? Yeah,
I can
okay,
wait.
Roger.
The common area that's up by lot 20, between lot 20 and lot 11, it butts the abutters, Bushy and Terrio. Are there gonna be any buffers in there?
It's a required, it's wooded now, it's gonna stay wooded, and that's the required setback for you. Any of your open space or your lots have to be set back 50 feet from the abutting property line. So that's why that 50-foot strip is in there. So there's no need to do anything.
Well, the thing is, you're butting up against, two people there. So the thing is, if you're gonna be setting up snowmobile, people getting on trails and so forth, going up in that area, there possibly could be trespassing on their property.
Any trails that we would make would be on our property, but more likely the trail and the trail connection to the snowmobile would be off the end down here, or along the edge of the wetland over here, and over to the trail. This is the trail right there. So most likely you're gonna come off this large area in the middle, is what's likely gonna happen. But we have the properties all pinned, and all the lots will be pinned. We're not gonna be constructing trails on other people's lots.
But Murphy's Law is gonna say they're gonna have something there where it's a common area, and they're gonna cut across between those abutting properties to get to the snowmobile trail.
Interesting, if the reverse was true and the Terrios were already using this undeveloped land to access they are,
Yeah.
in fact,
Yeah.
two-way trails, right? Both ends. I mean,
This is one of our lots, isn't it?
No,
That one isn't? Okay, I thought that was one of the lots.
that,
This is lot 11.
that's ours.
yeah, where I come from, that's a shared use neighborly
The entire
thing.
neighborhood, that
Yeah.
whole area is just filled with trails.
Yeah.
It's been there for 40 years.
I'm sorry, everybody knows Rick LaChapelle and Ron LeBlanc. They're here doing this project, so I never introduced them.
Okay. Lee, you have a question?
So just to one, I think the club would negotiate with the families, just having been a snowmobiler in terms of where the trails can go, but we'll see how that plays out over time. comment about the community element. I appreciate that, Sheena. Can you remind us what school district this is in as we just think about McMahon? Thank you. Thought so. Thank you.
Yeah, my one last comment is, somewhere in my shuffled pages is a note about thoughtfully removing trees and leaving many trees during the construction. And I would just say thoughtfully remove some trees in a pattern that allows you access to the
Yes.
snowmobiles. Like a straight,
It's all
Rem-
wood right now,
yeah,
so we have to remove trees.
right.
So we're trying not to remove, trying to keep it as wooded as possible.
I'm just saying, if you had to remove some in a small, I don't know, 5-foot wide
We would
pathway,
We would have no problem. It's just we don't
I'm sure
wanna
lots of
get
people would
into a
appreciate
problem.
it.
We don't want to get into a situation with the city that we're making extra roads or anything like that.
Yeah, no.
So I have no problem. I've used those trails. I've lived at my house for 40 years. Ron grew up right there. He's used it for 50 years. So this is our backyard. We both live. He lives on Matobian. I live on Pond Road. This is our backyard. So we're very familiar with this. Our kids live on this land. So our children, our grandchildren. We try to, thank you for commenting that we tried to make separate lots
Yeah.
to make it easier, to bring the price down, to make it more affordable, and to access the natural beauty that is in that area, is to be connecting to the trails. And it goes right onto Milne Pond, just cross the power lines, you're on Milne Pond. In fact, where they come, I think they come right through Shirley's house. They do think right by Shirley lives on Pond Road, they come right across her land, and they cut across, because you got the guy that grooms for half the state of Maine.
Right.
He lives right there,
Okay.
and he's been grooming that forever.
Okay,
So,
all right. Any other questions?
Has there been any feedback from the abutters regarding that upper area of the corner?
from the people on Matobian, they know it's
I'm talking
coming.
about Landry and Terrio and Bushy.
I haven't heard from them, no.
Okay.
And actually, Landry has their stuff on our land right now. So they've been approaching. When it's all wooded, you cut more and you put your wood pile and you put your shed, and we haven't really said anything. It's, you know, yeah.
Okay, anyone else have any questions? Okay, in that case, this is this is a public hearing, so I will open it up to the public if anyone wishes to speak for or against. If you would step to the podium, just give your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes to make a statement. So I open it up to the public. If you wish to make a statement for or against, please stand.
This podium here?
Yep.
My name's Carmen Coulombe. I live at 465 Pond Road in Lewiston. I'm right across from White Rock Distillery, which is listed on the property there, and across the street from Shirley, who's also in the audience here. I have mostly questions. I don't have a for or against at this point, but I have some questions. The common, yeah, can you, maybe, yes, okay. I'm not shown on the map, but the warehouse is shown on the map, and I'm across the street from that. One of the questions I had is it says something, and I can't read it from here, about the property. It's right above Shirley's land in the White Rock Distillery, and it's,
Parcel to be conveyed to
Yes.
abutters,
Yes.
18.2 plus or minus
yeah,
acres.
what does that mean? Is that anybody can offer to buy that, or is that some of your property, Rick?
Yes, it's my property right now, and when we formed the corporation, we put it all into that. My wife loves land, so she wants to make sure it's put back into our personal. So my personal home, if you break out, if you went to the old map, well, you know where I live. So it's through the bog, and that
It's over here.
18 acres will be conveyed over to my personal land and out of the corporation, out of the M&D, and over just to Rick and Nick.
Is there any plan to develop that or to put
No.
any use
There's
on that?
plan to let Peter walk through it. That's
Great.
what my wife has made clear to me.
Okay, super. As long as your wife keeps saying that, that's great. One of the other questions I have is a common area that is above that, that runs along the footer property, surely, you know, and that up to the power lines. You know, it just kind of keeps going along parallel to Pond Road. Yes, and then it goes to the power lines. Is that where you intend, or someone intends to put snowmobile trails?
As you know, what's his name? Bruce already has trails that go right through there. And they also, if you go up to where the larger lot, there are trails that go through lot 14, right through 14 in that way, or there are trails that go to the power line there, and actually at the top, there's another trail. So you get 3 accesses to the power line currently right now.
Well, there's not much noise coming from that at this point in time. My concern is that if you have 17 lots and then you have, it's a phase of other lots, that you'll have a very loud snowmobile trail passing through right next to
The good
people.
news is we have 17 lots, or how many, 12 lots right now? 15 lots right now. We have one person that owns a snowmobile on 15 lots. There's only one person, and he travels, and he goes up the road. He trails it.
Yeah.
So currently, there are 15 sold lots that only one person has.
Right, but this is going to be much closer and may encourage much more use because it's right on the common area.
Yeah.
My concern is the noise level. There's not really much of a buffer to the places along Pond Road, and the noise carries because of the pond, no-name pond. There's a lot of echo that carries there. So
Yeah.
my concern is noise level.
Yeah.
And how we're going to control that so that it doesn't interfere with the current landowners.
Yeah, there's only so much that they can do in terms of buffering and stuff. I mean, and if we continue having winters like we have right now, there won't be too much noise because there's no
Right.
snow for them to ride.
But if the connection could be at the upper level to the snowmobile trail, you know, that would be the connection.
Yeah, but they're not building them, so it depends on who's building the trails. That's,
We'll try to block them off.
Yeah.
We can try to block off the
Sure,
whole section.
okay.
And just try to force.
Right,
them.
Right.
they'll work with you. So, you know, if there's any issues, just contact Rick or Ron, and I'm sure that they'll work with you if in the future it becomes an issue.
Well,
Okay?
I would
mean-
just wonder if it could not be the common area.
Well,
could
they're not
be used.
designating them now, it's just they're there, and people have been using them forever, so it's just going to be, you know, it's just gonna
definitely
be.
not a heavy use because, you know,
Well, and it may continue not to be a heavy use, because it all depends on if people snowmobile or not, so
You
your time
always-
is up, ma'am.
And you can always you can post your property. So,
Right.
you've got a cute little lot there and some water around it, but you could post your property
I
too.
definitely can post my property.
Right,
but-
right.
But the noise
Yeah,
level.
there's only so much that people can do for noise. Okay, yeah, you state your name and your address, and you've got 3 minutes.
Shirley Hodges, 462 Pond Road. You're talking about snow machines. What about bikes? ATVs? I mean, wintertime, there's no noise down there. I don't know who's using the trail. I was out there today looking it over. And there has been something out there. I'm probably the closest to the property that you and Monique are going to keep. That concerned me. The other is, how far is the new road coming down as far to that stream? How far is it going to come down to?
The road stops right here.
If you look on the screen,
I can't tell. How many feet
Can I
is it
stand
going
up
to
and
be?
help her see? Sure. So ma'am, you're right here. This is wooded area that's not gonna be developed? This
No,
is-
that's where I live, right there. That's the property that Rick and Monique are going to be keeping.
Correct.
The stream is about 20 feet from
Yeah,
that
can I show
line.
you? I'm just trying to answer the question that you asked. This is your property.
Correct.
This area is the place that is going to stay
With Rick.
happily married, keeping deer on it. This is the stream that you're referring to
Mm-hmm.
right here. You only get 5/3 of it, but there. And then the road is all the way here. So road.
So
Is
about
that
how
true,
many
Rick?
feet is that,
Am I
Mike?
coming down towards the stream?
It's actually going towards the power line, Shirley. So yes,
All of
goes-
it?
It goes towards the street, but more towards the power line.
The second exit up on the side of the power line exit, the second
There's no
one?
exits onto Palm Road at all. There's no
Well,
exit
I'm-
at all.
Okay, so it's not coming down the hill like this.
It's up on the top of the ridge.
Yeah,
No, it's
ma'am,
not.
would you like a copy of the map so that you can see it?
I don't read maps well, but I know the property.
This,
I walked up there to go blueberrying for years.
I know, sir. You've been there longer than I have.
That's right.
Don't forget it.
I'm guessing from
And I will
the,
be longer than you are, probably, just to be miserable.
It's all wooded land, we're not cutting trees down.
Okay, so when you come to the end of the current paved road, you're going straight up where the deer cross and go up to the power line,
I love Maine. I love
for
Maine.
the remainder of that road, right there.
Where the deer cross.
So that road is not coming down this way, it's going straight across?
No, go ahead.
It's my favorite. That's how we give directions where I come from.
So this is
So
Matobian,
good.
Yep.
right here.
The pothole that never gets filled in the
one
winter,
goes
you know that one?
400 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not
Goes
coming
across.
down this
No,
way
no,
at
no,
all?
no. It
Good.
goes- it
400
goes
feet
right up this-
from the road
doesn't go
to the common area.
There's one lot right
Above.
here. That's
Looking
what
at
I'm
these
pointing
distances.
Yep,
Yeah.
you might,
Yeah. So
About
it goes
200
right
feet
over
across here and
this is
195
all
feet
wooded.
here.
This is maybe my favorite planning board meeting ever.
right,
I know. I know.
okay.
And-
Close second is the pickleball
We're
court.
we're out of control.
Just saying.
Okay, all right,
He's answered my questions.
good.
That's great.
All right, that's what we want. All right. Okay,
Can I still walk up through there to go to Blueberry?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
okay. All right, so there's no one else to speak in the public, so I'm going to close the meeting, bring it back to the board. Does anyone else from the board have any questions for, or
Anybody.
comments or anything? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I just have loved everything about this.
I know.
I'm
I
gonna
do
make a
too.
motion. I'll make a motion.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We
Yeah.
can take reservations if you want to.
That I'm a cross-country skier. It's pretty silent winter pastime, but I'll come check it out. All right, I would like to make a motion that the application submitted by Stony Brook Land Use Incorporated on behalf of M&B LLC for the creation of a new 17-lot, single-family cluster subdivision and construction of a new 1,900-foot road off of
Matobian.
Matobian Avenue, meets all of the necessary criteria contained in the zoning and land use code, including, but not limited to, Article 13, Section 4, approval criteria, Section 5, coordination with state subdivision law, and Section 7, additional standards for single-family cluster developments, and that approval be granted with the following conditions. No lots may be sold and no permits issued until the road has been accepted by the city or a performance guarantee is provided to the city's satisfaction for 125% of the cost of improvements. Sorry, may I just ignore all the things in parentheses throughout the, thank you. No building permits may be issued and no construction activity may occur until evidence of MDEP approval for wetland alterations has been provided to the city. Annual stormwater inspections, a post-construction stormwater management performance guarantee, and a MS4 area post-construction performance guarantee shall be required. That prior to the issuance of a building permit, a subdivision plan indicating all building envelopes and demarcating all wetlands on the property and noting that any additional wetland disturbance or filling will require approval from MDEP be recorded with the Androscoggin County Registry of Deeds. And that prior to the issuance of any building permits, Maine DEP signs off on the city's delegated review authority.
Do I have a second? Mr. Dupree? Any further comments? Roger Dupree?
Yes.
Mark Roy?
Yes.
Michael Marcotte?
Yes.
Shanna Cox?
Yes.
Alexander Pine?
Yes.
Lee Albert?
Yes.
Lucy Bisson, yes.
Thank you very much.
All right.
We'll spend spend some money.
Only so you can make some, right?
Yes.
Okay, so other business. The planning board making a recommendation to the city council on the disposition of a portion of 156 East Avenue to sell to an abutter. And the correspondence that we were given when we arrived is from Mr. Dennis Terrio regarding this.
In the presentation of this, can you help connect that letter to this item for me in a physical way, which you might be doing right now?
I can try. Okay, so, and I just, I want to mention that this item doesn't have a public hearing, but we did provide those comments for your interest, so. So this proposal is for the city to dispose of a portion of 156 East Avenue, which is on Bartlett Street. It's where the high school as well as the James B. Longley School is located. And it's a small 100 by 100 foot area that would be carved out. So if you see, maybe Craig can point out the Mears building right there. Perfect. That's a 100 by 100 lot that it sits upon. So it would be a 100 by 100 lot directly abutting that to the right of the screen there. So it's between the existing trail and the Mears location. So they approached the city asking to purchase this 10,000 square foot area, which would double their lot size essentially. You have notes here from the assessor as to what a fair market price would be, and then a suggestion that it would be direct negotiations by the city administrator with Mears on the purchase price. At this point in time, their parcel likely doesn't have enough parking depending upon what the various uses are inside on site. They're in a non-conforming use in terms of parking. Their intent is to utilize the new area for increased parking. You know, we don't have a design, so I can't say how many parking spaces would be created, but certainly it would be an improved condition from a parking standpoint over what's there now. The property is in the highway business zoning district, which requires 25% be kept as, you know, non-impervious surfaces. So there would be some green space required, but they could still use quite a lot of it for parking and roads. So I can come up and talk a little bit about, I think there was the question about the easement. Was that part of what you were
Yes.
asking about, Shannon? Okay. Sorry, I don't mean to.
Well, that's part of
There's-
the
Drive.
There's
question.
big shouty letters in the.
There
and-
is that too.
And I just, anyway, the
Yeah.
presentation of materials makes me feel like I do understand what's being asked of the planning board tonight.
Yeah. So just for clarification, there is an easement here along the north side of this property line for 20 feet. And so that is a joint easement that allows the Mears site to travel across the adjacent mosque site to, you know, access the rear of their building. That allows them to park on their property along the building here. So potentially, you know, were they to buy this property and design out the new parking lot, which, you know, the city would have to review the design of that. They would be potentially traveling this way, and then at some point, they would be crossing over into their, you know, new property, and there would be some circulation to design, you know, how they would park. There's a couple different ways it could be laid out. So that's the proposal. I don't know if there are specific questions in that you want me to look at in more detail. I know that there was a question as to ownership, and I think I had said it was the home of the school. So the city is the entity that owns land, where the departments can own buildings or improvements like infrastructure, but they don't own land. So it is city property. There are, the school building is owned by the school departments and so forth. So that is a clarification that I just wanted to make sure I made, since there was some question there, and I might not have been clear in the staff review about that.
So the circulation, if I have this right, between the mosque and Mears, okay, is my pen is not, so they're coming in this way and go around and out that way, correct? Or
Yes.
is it both? They go in both this way and then around that way on the building?
So at this point in time, I think there's a pretty big curb cut. So I think that at this point in time, people can come this way and they can come this way.
Right, okay.
The proposal that you had before you with the mosque would be redesigns this parking area, and I believe it extends the curb cut, or sorry, the curbing, and then opens a curb cut. So it changes where the curbing is, so there's this,
Reduced number of curb
kind of
cuts.
primary entrance way.
But that doesn't matter tonight? We
That
would
does-
review
that's
that
really
at a future
unrelated to
point.
this, yeah. And I think if there are some, so let's say this proposal does go forward and Mears does purchase this property from the city, it's possible that as they design that out, there might be some work that they do with their neighbor to maybe redesign some things there. So I mean, that happens. So it might be that there would be a small change to whatever was approved for the mosque that would need to be reviewed. If it's really minor, then that would usually be done by staff. If there was a reason it needed to come before the board, then it would. So, the timing of this shouldn't be impacting the other application you have before you.
Right.
If things need to be changed later, then the
Okay.
parties would come forward with that.
So my other question is, Mr. Terrio is always he wants to see the easement. I mean, we don't need to see the easement. That's not
No.
part of our purview, correct?
No, and certainly
Okay,
for the.
I didn't think so.
We can get the deed to you for the other application, but as far as whether to sell this piece of land or not, it's really
It's
not.
irrelevant. Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Does Mears and the mosque have a relationship?
I don't know as there's like a legal relationship as far as I'm aware. Certainly when it comes to the property ownership, there's no relationship other than that deeded easement for passage across the mosque property by Mears.
Are you talking about a casual relationship between neighbors or a legal one?
The legal one. The thing that I'm concerned about is that, it comes at an opportune time because of the parking issue with the mosque, that if they make that 100 square foot area, or 100 by 100 area, a parking area, now it opens up the amount of parking for the mosque as well on Fridays. Is that correct?
If they agree to share parking with each other, yes, and that's kind of between those two parties. I mean,
Now we run into a quagmire, because if we allow that to happen, then you've got an issue as far as the occupancy of the building for the mosque.
How would we let them or keep them from agreeing on how they share use of their parking lots, if at all?
I mean, they already do in that the mosque lets Mears use their parking on days other than Fridays, right? So there's already, some.
There's some symbiotic
Informal-
relationships there already.
And what they would choose to do if they choose to increase, if that allows, there's a problem right now on Fridays where Mears doesn't have enough parking either because they can't use the mosque parking lot. So my guess is that on Fridays, there won't be a lot of extra mosque ability for them to offer parking to the mosque because they need that parking. But that's really unknown, and I think.
How many vehicles does the mosque, the Mears use for their facility?
I don't know.
Right, I mean, this is not part of what we're
No,
approving
I
tonight.
realize
No,
that.
I know that too, but,
The
we're
thing
just asking
is
questions.
where the proximity is
Oh, yeah.
between the two of them.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they're both in that same category is that one is gonna be using the other and the other's gonna be using the other.
Which
Well-
category?
They already share,
I'm sorry, which category? They're in the same category, the mosque and mirrors, which category? Of needing parking?
Yeah, well, related to parking, yes.
yeah, and they already share, the mosque lets them the mirrors put their dumpster, apparently, in closer to the mosque than, because mirrors doesn't have the room. We've all heard that, relating to the mosque situation.
Yeah, I think Mears uses the mosque's dumpster currently. Now, if they had a parking lot behind the building, they could perhaps have their own dumpster.
Have their own dumpster and not have it, in such a way. Yes, Shannon?
Chili, what other offers have been made on this parcel or abutting parcels on that side of the trail from private entities in Lewiston or elsewhere?
I believe at one point in time, the mosque asked to purchase land from the city and was turned down, maybe. Don't quote me on that. I do know that Mayat Sausage, which is right here, I believe had asked about purchasing some land behind them and had been turned down at one point. So those are some past actions. I don't have the details. Neither of those, I think, were in the time I've been here with the city, which is the last 2
Right.
years. So this is just kind of hearsay that I've been told, and I can't guarantee that I'm telling you the.
And in your
facts
2
when I say
years,
that.
there haven't been any other requests?
That I'm aware of, yeah.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah,
Alex?
even though we're, really just talking about land disposition here and not final use, it seems like they intend to turn it into a parking area. That was sort of the stated
Well,
intent
yeah.
when they were looking to purchase it. I wonder, I wish I was more familiar with the trail here, just, looking at the map, it seems like they're gonna get pretty close. I'm assuming we'd probably have some rules about visual barrier or setback with the parking area.
Buffers or things.
Buffers, things like that.
If we did, we didn't apply them to our own parking lot. We added to the park and soccer field thereon. So I don't know that there are.
So this is the highway business. So I don't know as we're going to have, we wouldn't have like the design standards probably coming into play. Certainly that could possibly be part of a suggestion from staff and the planning board would be to have some sort of a buffer. If there is a dumpster, that would need to be screened. If it's a new dumpster, obviously an existing dumpster, we don't require those upgrades too. So, yeah, it is close.
Yeah.
You can see it's basically this line extended further out this property line, so it is pretty close.
If our friends at Google have done a street view of the trail, they sometimes do that. But yeah, I guess I would wonder, if there's a way that we can encourage the applicant, if we end up conveying the property to them to just often the back end of a business or the back end of a parking lot is not that great looking, and it's
Right.
next to a trail, it's next to a nature area, it's next to a park, and so keeping that in mind.
That could be a recommendation you make to, with your recommendation to the city council, that it be considered, or that the city administrator consider that during the negotiation.
Okay, anyone else? Michael?
On the point about buffering and back there, I believe, don't quote me on it, but I believe that the shrubbery or the vegetation growth is very close to the ground. So there would be plenty of line of sight for people using the pathways and trails as recreation to see into the backs of the properties, whether they're commercial, highway business, religious institution or whatnot. And I know it goes back quite a few years, but up the road, a place that was called Spofford's at one time, the Melanson family owns, and they have a lot behind the building for cars that are being towed. And they were mandated to put up fencing and buffering and so on and so forth. So I don't see any reason why that wouldn't be fair for any other development. And on that note, I'm asking if this land is conveyed to Mears, will they need to do a development review to turn it into a parking lot? And does it rise to the occasion of coming back to the board, or is it a staff review?
I believe that would be, if it is development review, it would staff review. Can you look and see in Article 13 if this looks like it would trigger development review? So as you're thinking about this currently, you know, if you're talking about buffering, you know, the new parking lot at the mosque, there hasn't been discussion about buffering that. So there, you might want to have consistency there. We don't really have anything in our standards that requires a buffer. So that's something to think about.
So when we're talking about development review, there are a number of things that would create either a minor development or a major. The biggest one is the construction or addition of less than 5,000 square feet of non-residential floor area would be a minor. More than that would be a major. Which specifically are we sort of interested in?
No, sorry, hang on just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if it's even development review at all.
Is it just pavement?
Yeah.
If it's just pavement, then I think it's more, that specific language is, I think, 5,000 cubic yards of earth grading, movement of soil. I think if it's less than 5,000 cubic yards, then it's not really a concern. There's also I think there's also a bit in the ordinance about the establishment of a new use, even if no new structures are proposed. So that might be something we're looking at as well.
Yeah, so it probably would be development review, but I definitely think it would be in the staff review.
Yeah, because they're already using it for parking. You can see cars parked behind the building. I mean, it's not, you know, whatever is out there is probably mud,
Or
this time of
because
year.
it's already an approved site plan, let's say, this would be an amendment to that, but it would probably go before staff, most
Before
likely.
staff, right.
Well, sure, if they just pave it. But if they follow any version of what they've proposed in their request letter, it sounds like they have an architect and contractor, and that they would be doing upgrades to their building in unison with the parking, so
I
it
think they're
seems like.
doing upgrades
Yeah, they're working on the
now.
upgrades right now.
They're working on the building now.
So they already have the permits that are
Um,
referenced in the letter from January 3rd?
I believe so. They're doing interior renovations right now. I don't
Yeah.
think there's,
Anything exterior?
I don't think they're changing window locations or that sort of thing, but we'd have to pull the building permits to find out. I don't know.
Okay. All right, yeah, Michael?
Just a couple questions. Shelley mentioned something about already using it for parking, and we can see in whatever the date of the image is that there's some parking back there.
Right.
Is the dumpster, that dark-looking, square, almost shadow-looking, which is actually...
That one?
Yeah, that one. If that's the dumpster, it's already on city-owned property, so are the vehicles. And if we go back a few years, the Mayotts were code violated in removing some probably semi-beds or whatever they would be called, because if you look in the image, it's bare. There were a couple of oblong objects there at one time. So let's be fair on the enforcement of code enforcement. And as far as my opinion on this, it should be open bid, not to be negotiated with any individual abutter.
Okay, anyone else have any other questions or comments? Okay, in that case,
I'm sorry, I have one.
Oh, yes, of
I
course.
apologize.
No, that's fine. You caught me before I...
No, I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't matter.
This is in regards to the recommendations we can make, which I will note, as we have done a number of times with dispositions in the past and has been raised to our attention from staff, that we can recommend things to city council, but ultimately, they can dispose of a property to whom and in what manner they choose.
Yep.
Yes. So, not on the table, but it feels like if Mayon's had asked for this property too, that there is a triangle that might give them space for a dumpster that would be available.
But that's not Mayon. Mayon's not.
This is Mayon.
It is, yeah.
Oh, that is Mayon.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I would just I say this on the microphone. I would just be open not only to the disposition of this property and the following negotiations that are found by city council, but if Mayotte's listening, I'd be open to someone else asking for a triangle that allowed for similar opportunities that reflect a change in our city's thinking since the last 2 times that somebody else was turned down for the same request.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not fair that they're letting these people buy, but they didn't let Mayot buy, you know, some years back.
Or
so-
the mosque, for that.
Or, yeah, or whomever, right.
Lucy, excuse me. So may I clarify Shayna's point? So you're suggesting divvying?
I'm suggesting the 100 by 100 square as in our paper. I'm going to vote yes to dispose of it in whatever manner the city council moves forward, but that would open up a small triangle
Yep.
off of Mayotte's back that would keep to the same distance to the trail in an otherwise completely unusable space.
And offer that.
And that if Mayotte's listening, they should make a request for that because we would certainly be favorable to hearing it.
Yes, Michael?
I had forgotten that I had pulled out the copy, and could be all wet on this, but Article 11 District Regulations has plenty of language about design standards, landscaping, buffering, screening. They're encouraged to minimize views of parking areas and streets and abutting properties. And the opening sentence to this 19E would be, the following design standards are encouraged for any project subject to development review, however, may be waived for the appropriate review and authority to cite limitations and the nature of development. So whether it rises to the level of coming to us or a staff review, I think that this still has some application for buffering and screening, landscaping, with respect to views of parking areas and such.
Alexander?
Yeah, just really quick, I think, seems like an opportunity for us to dispose of some land for a functional use in the city, and that's great. Also seems like a great opportunity for some land that sort of, you know, even though it's owned by the city, no one's really taking care of it, no one really claims ownership of it, to be better taken care of, to provide, you know, a better view shed from the trail. So, you know, to any degree that we can encourage staff, if this comes up for development review, to keep that in mind, and then also along to the city council to encourage them to make that as clear in any potential sale as possible. From a procedural question, and maybe, you know, this isn't our purview, but just for my knowledge, Member Marcotte brought up that maybe this should go to bid instead of just being a one-on-one negotiation. From a dollars and cents perspective, does anyone know how big of a difference that is to the city? You know, is it going single bidder mean that it's a straightforward process, whereas bidding is
3 to
really-
6% for real
Okay.
estate, for real estate brokerage.
Got it.
If they listed it and did all of the things.
So in case of a small parcel like this,
Yeah, and it's
not a
behind
whole lot of,
something.
not a whole lot of
I can't imagine
cost
there's a
one
lot
way
of
or the other.
demand. There's
Yeah.
a lot of demand for it, and according to the email from Mr. Healy, the city chief assessor, 5 to 10,000 is reasonable for that lot. So, you know,
I don't think we could actually divide it and give it to anyone else unless it was Mayot or the mosque. It would have to be in a butter because there's no frontage.
yeah,
So
there's no
someone would
frontage
have
to it, so they, you know,
Yeah,
how else
it would
are
have
they
to be
gonna use it?
merged with another lot essentially
Right.
that has frontage.
Michael?
I would agree that if anyone's going to bid on it, it's going to be one of the 3 abutters. When I read the part, and I never did get an opportunity to talk to Mr. Healy, but when I read that, and the comparison was to another downtown lot that was transacted between the city and an individual property owner on Horton Street or somewhere, I think it was.
I think so, yeah.
Horton, Ohio. That's not really a good comparison.
Oh, Bates Street,
Bates Street?
340 Bates Street.
That's not really a good comparison. You're not checking with the private sector. Private sector could bid that up plenty more than the 8,000 at 340 Bates Street. So I still stand by the idea that it should go out to bid. Mr. Mayotte may offer much more than what is being negotiated right now. Even the mosque could negotiate for something much more. I mean, they have a real purpose for more parking, and it would behoove them quite well. It looks like they may be using it. That may be the vehicles that are parked out there, whether it's dry land or mud.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, so in that case, I'd entertain a motion. Does anyone want to make a motion? It's right on the front page,
On the front page.
the bottom,
Okay.
last paragraph.
Happy to share.
Yeah. No,
All right, go ahead, Alex.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion pursuant to Article 7, Section 4H of the Zoning and Land Use Code to send a favorable recommendation to the City Council for the disposition of an approximately 10,000 square foot portion of 156 East Avenue, including, if any, specific conditions or concerns raised by the Planning Board. Do we want to name those out?
Yeah, if we're going to make conditions, we need to spell them out.
Okay.
What do
I
you
think
wanna-
our concerns were that if the sale goes through, that the purchaser consider screening and, sort of appropriate foliage. I think that was one of them.
Screening against the...
Against the trail.
The trail. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to be
Against the
specific, that's all.
trail, that other business owners in the area be notified of potential purchase options of any additional land, specifically the small triangle.
And this one.
And this one. And then do we have
When
any
you
others?
say "and this one," you mean the triangle?
The
behind
triangle
the-
and the square, and the
And
10,000 square feet.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because I'm assuming that the motion makes clear that it rides with these materials and that the 10,000 square foot piece of 156 East Ave isn't in the woods, but it's that 10,000 square feet. Because it doesn't really say
Immediately
that.
behind,
Right, it's not like the 10,000 square feet abutting.
Oh, okay.
It's
It-
just
it-
10,000 square feet in Franklin pasture.
Right, yep.
So let's assume that the city council clearly defines that lot as that lot that
Yes,
we're
the-
talking about.
adjacent to the rear of 256 Bartlett Street.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be specific, it's that one, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a second?
Wait a minute, sorry. So I'm just trying to get this clear.
Sure.
So, favorable recommendation for a portion of 156 East Avenue abutting the rear of 256 Bartlett Street
Correct.
with the
Recommendation.
recommendation that there be screening of the parking from the trail.
Right,
And then what was the other one?
The abutters are made aware of this sale, and that abutters are made aware of the opportunity to seek additional property within this area.
Okay, thank you.
okay. All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Roger Dupree.
I'll abstain.
Okay, Mark Roy.
Yes.
Michael Marcotte.
No.
Shanna Cox.
Yes.
Alex Pine.
Yes.
Lee Albert.
Yes.
Lucy Bisson, yes. So we have one abstention, one against, and 5-4. Not 5-4.
5-1-1-1.
In agreement.
I was like, that's 9, well, there's not even 9 of us. Kip,
Yeah, I know.
Counting now?
I know.
may I make a comment before we move on from this item?
Absolutely.
There was a lot of discussion, and this note is specifically for staff, as you consider whatever development with this property and whether it arises to our occasion or not. There was a lot of discussion about screening and buffering, which I appreciate, and the notion that folks using the trail are not necessarily inundated with the many uses that they might or might not come across. My concern is the opportunity, and we've seen this with this parking area here in the, I can't remember the name because it's had a couple, the new
McGraw Park.
McGraw, thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Oh,
you.
McGraw Park.
That people using that trail who are trying to get up to Birch Street or trying to get a nice donut from the Italian bakery, take the opportunity with all of the newly paved parking areas to cut from essentially that intersection of trail down to Bartlett Street without coming out. I'm lazy, I'd probably do it myself. If I was 3 feet tall and cutting between cars, you might not see me. And so while there's been a lot of regard for the site that people on the trails might have, I would prefer, and if it's possible to do it both ways, that'd be awesome. But something that demarcates the lot itself so that it is a little bit challenging to just cut through. I can imagine a really busy early release school day on a Friday when the parking lots and that intersection are already a little bit busy for kids from Connors, which is what this trail is used for, as well as high school students who are cutting into this neighborhood they live in, to be physically at risk because of the parking. And it would be very solvable, but I would highly recommend that staff is very considerate of the design solutions there that attend to safety too.
Good points,
If I
good
may, I
points.
would just second that sample size of one. Even being there on the weekends, largely kids
Yeah.
traveling through trails and from the park.
It connects
So
3
thank you.
schools. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
And the
that's
fields.
what it's
Yeah.
used for, yeah.
Alex?
And just also sort of similar spirit, but I think maybe in a different direction, if people desire to cut through lots and the lot owners are open to making it safer to do so and more publicly available and, providing a service where it's needed, that would also be wonderful too. Not, block it off where it's unsafe, but if they're open to letting
Put a
folks.
raised sidewalk through there.
Exactly.
Mark it up with, I don't really care. You'll be the one to care about it.
Right.
Just
Great
with
community
safety in
service
mind.
project for any of the businesses or organizations to undertake.
Sounds like a good plan. All right. Okay. Reading of, is there any other business, other business?
No, just Counselor Gallant, when I was at Finance Committee, extended his hello to all you fellow former board members.
Yep. Okay. Reading of the minutes. I need a motion to adopt the February 12th, 2024 draft minutes. Michael?
I found something, actually, I found quite a few sentences that were awkwardly written, but the one that I'm going to pay most attention to is on page 2, which is public hearings, B, third paragraph, just to the east of the second word demand, towards the end of the paragraph, should be than the ordinance, not that the ordinance provides. For the proper grammatization of that sentence. The other ones, I would.
I'm sorry, I'm still trying to find that first one, Mike.
Okay, so.
Can you give it, why don't you just give your notes if you don't mind?
Okay, so it says, but if the,
13 lines down in the second paragraph.
but if it was up to the board to determine if there is a greater parking demand than the ordinance provides, rather than that the ordinance provides.
Okay.
Okay.
And the other ones were so awkward, I couldn't even come up with a memory of what might have been the proper
Right.
wording.
Okay.
Maybe we talked awkwardly. I wasn't here
We
that
did,
night.
sometimes we do. Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion as amended.
Okay, and do I have a second?
Second?
Okay, so Roger, Michael made the motion, Roger did the second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Raise your hand. Okay. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I thought we wouldn't get a second.
March 11th's our normal one, right? I don't know why that feels so far away.
What?
It does feel far
Oh,
away.
March
It's not.
11th?
It's normal, right? That's the normal one.
Yeah.
Just feels a ways away.
It doesn't feel that far away.
I bet it doesn't for you.
Used to the idea that March is coming.
Oh, God, I know.
I'm uncomfortable with it personally.
Just a few more days.
March 11th? It says it on the bottom of the,
Yikes.
it's a normal one. It just feels really not.